Dr. Jim Rankin joins us again in studio today to talk about agricultural machinery sales and forecasts. He's from the South African Agricultural Machinery Association. Jim, welcome once again to studio. How are current sales at the moment if we look at tractors and combine harvesters?
Thank you, Lisa. The sales have fallen quite sharply from last year. It was predicted. For various reasons this has happened. Year-to-date sales tractors, we're on 4,700 units, which is about 20% down on last year. And combines, we're on 150 units so far this year, and that's down about 60% on last year. So the sales are quite sharply down, but we were expecting it. It's not what we wanted, but it's what we've got.
So what would the reasons be?
I always say that the agriculture machinery industry is difficult. If it wasn't, half of us wouldn't have jobs. But there's been a combination of factors which has affected the industry this year in particular. And it comes from back from COVID. We had not record sales, but we had excellent sales during that period. COVID brought on stock problems, production in the factories, and then we had problems with the getting the equipment to South Africa because we had shipping problems and things like that. And then we had problems in the harbours. And I think what happened was that we had a couple of good cropping years, and farmers were able to replace, and they thought, well, with these problems, we'd better buy the stock when it's available. So that's what pushed sales up. So we're comparing what is actually now almost normal sales with those exceptional sales that we had, and the market has come down to a level which is more normal. But of course, it looks horrific when you compare it with those excellent sales of the past few years.
You and I were talking about the weather earlier before we started with this interview, and do you think that will have an effect on sales forecasts?
It always does. We, for example, last year in the east of the country, there was good planting rains reasonably early. They got in, and the rain carried on. Whereas in the west, they had a shocking time. The maize crop was 50% down on the previous year. So you've always got this, and we spoke about Johan van der Berg and the fact that the predictions are changing all the time. And we've got him coming to speak to us at a SAMA meeting in about 3 weeks' time. So let's see what happens, what he has to say then, because it's of critical importance to be able to plant, and then once you've planted, to be able to see the crop through in late January, February. Those are critical months in terms of the summer crops that we plant. And fortunately, we've got cultivation practices and crop cultivars that make it easier to be able to handle the vagaries of the weather. And the smart farmers are taking advantage of that. It enables them to be able to produce a crop. So that's the situation that we're in at the moment.
If we talk about predictions, how far do we Can we move ahead?
Well, we're looking at our predictions for next year are that we'll be about 20% down on this year. As I say, the crops this year were not too bad, but the yields, and that's the critical thing. A similar area was planted to the summer crops, but the yields were down, and that's the profit on top. That's the cream on top, and that's the where the farmers can make the decision to buy new equipment. I would say that many of them have taken that opportunity and have bought new equipment, particularly in terms of combines, but also in terms of tractors. So yes, we will be down on last year. It's going to be a very competitive market, and farmers will need to look for good deals, and I think they'll get them because our stock levels are in the country are quite high, and the farmers know this, and they're going to be playing off the individual companies against each other. So let's see what happens. And as I say, it is going to be weather dependent. So they'll be watching the skies and listening to Johan van der Berg and watching what's happening with La Nina. Hopefully it's La Nina, not El Nino. But yes, we're going to go again into an interesting year.
Sounds like good deals is a good way to end this conversation. Jim, thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Dr. Jim Rankin joining us in studio once again to talk about tractor and combine harvester sales.